Hi everybody, this is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy. Welcome to lesson number 36. In this lesson, we will discuss the doubling rule for F, L, S, and Z. Let's begin by setting up the table. You'll need your top 160 sight word list, the sight word study method instruction sheet, the student's card pack, some blank cards for introducing new sight words, a highlighter, markers, and some pencils. For the short vowel drill, you'll need the teacher instruction sheet, the keyword pictures, and the keyword sentence. Then we move on to the phonemic awareness drill. You'll need the teacher instruction sheet and the colored tiles for the student. For the visual drill and auditory drill, you'll need the teacher instruction sheet and the student's card pack. The syllable card drill is getting pretty big. You have to cut this one out in advance. And the way you set it up is going to be determined by the needs of your student. If you feel like it's too hard to have all three columns scrambled, then you can see the last word there, snapdragon, is all it's all in the correct order. So that would be one way you could do this. Or you could have, two columns that are not scrambled and just one that has to get unscrambled. So you can just think about what needs does your student have, like where are they at with this, and adjust accordingly. Moving on to the magnetic letter tile drill for reading and spelling, you'll need the teacher instruction sheet and the cookie sheet with the magnetic letter tiles spread in a rainbow shape. Then we'll have the syllable pounding sheet, the kinesthetic discovery instruction sheet, and the sheets for the lesson. Today, you'll see that it looks a little different with the sheets for the lesson because we're introducing a new rule, so we have a rule card there ready to go. And then as usual, underneath there, you'll have, let's see what's under there. You'll have the stories there. You'll have the single word list in front of that. Let's find it there. And you'll also have the 3 sentences for the writing section. In addition to all of that, you'll have a little more set up. We have a TCH and CH sort that you're going to do with the student, so you'll have to have that one cut out. And then there'll be a blending drill to review the consonant digraphs when 2 consonants are walking to make a brand new sound. And last of all, we'll have a yes-no sort for the new rule that we're introducing today. Finally, you might have a timer on the table, and that will only be there if your student is ready to work on fluency. So that's your call, and you'll have to use a secondary program to introduce that piece, but it is a critical piece when you get to the right point. I like to use Read Naturally or 6-Minute Reading Solution. Refer to Lesson 33 for more information. Let's do the sight word study method. Student, you're going to need your card pack for this one. Take out your words, and I want you to read through each word. When you get one correct, you're going to put a check mark in the corner of the index card. And teacher, remember that we introduced 4 new sight words in the last lesson, and they all had to do with being rule breakers for the TCH rule. If the student runs into problems with those words, then the blocking strategy will be to remind them of the card that we made about which rich is a such much monster. Yeah, so student, after you finish reading, you give your card pack to the teacher, and it's your teacher's turn to read. The teacher reads the words, and you write them down. When you get one correct, you put a check in the other side of the other corner of the index card. And then you and your teacher have a discussion about which of those words you believe is mastered. If one is mastered, you can remove it from the pack. And then if there's time permitting, you can introduce a new sight word. Let's do the short vowel drill. So student, you'll need the keyword pictures and the keyword sentence for this one. You trace the keyword shape, saying the name, so apple, and then underline it and say the target sound. Do that as many times as your teacher deems necessary, and then take out that keyword sentence and say the sentence, stretching out the vowel sounds as you do it. Let's do the phonemic awareness drill. Student, you are going to need your colored tiles for this one. Your sound is I. Can you take out a colored tile for the sound I? Okay, now take out a new color and call it N. Can you repeat that sound? Okay. Tap it and say it. What's your word? Did you get in? If you did, that's right. Take out a new color. Call it ch. Can you repeat that sound? Put ch on the end of in. What's your new word? Tap it and say it. Did you get inch? If you did, that's right. Now, what happens if you remove the n from inch? What are you left with? Tap it and say it. Did you get itch? If you did, that's correct. Now, if that's itch, can you add a t to the front of itch? What's your new word? Titch. Okay, grab a new color and call it add it to the front of titch and tap it and say it. Did you get stitch? If you did, that's right. Good job, you can put your tiles away. Let's do the visual drill. Student, what sound goes with this one? And you would say ing. So teacher, you can do about 6 to 8 flashcards in that way and then come back to me. I will do the auditory drill. The teacher says the sound. I'll say eind. Can you repeat that sound? Okay, now I'd like you to write down the symbols for eind. What are the letters that go with that sound? And then underline it and say the sound again. Okay, we'll do a quick check. How'd you do? Okay, teacher, using that method, can you do 6 to 8 flashcards? It's time for the syllable card drill. You'll tap it and say it and read down all the syllables in column number 1, all the syllables in column number 2, and then all the syllables in column number 3. Then read across the rows, making nonsense words as you go. The final step is you get to unscramble the words to make real words. Remember to talk about what the words mean and to put some in sentences as well. Let's do some syllable pounding. This is where you stretch out your arm, and every time you hear a syllable, one of your fingers shoots out. And remember that you're listening for the vowel sounds. That'll indicate when a syllable happens. So your first one is snap. How many syllables in snap? Did you say 1? If you did, that's right. How about snapdragon? That's a type of flower. In that one, I hear 3. Snapdragon. Ton. How many is in that one? Did you say 1? That's correct. I hear that aw sound in ton. How about astonish? I hear 3 in that one. Astonish. Okay, great. Let's review those consonant digraphs that we've been working on. WH, TH, SH, CH, all those guys, the PH. And we'll do a quick blending drill to review those sounds. Talk about when we use CH and when we use TCH. Can you take out your rule card for this one? On the rule card, it tells us that when we have a 1-syllable base and there is a short vowel in the base directly followed by this CH sound, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce this T. So we need a TCH situation. An easy way to think about this is we always talk about how in a closed syllable there's a babysitter. in this case CH, and he closes the A in, so he says this nice soft sound because he's all happy to be being taken care of. But CH is a terrible babysitter. He says, I won't do it. I'm not going to be a babysitter. So the T has to come in, and he stretches his arms out wide like the T does. You can see his arms there, and he's like, whoa, guys, hold on. And he separates them. He says, I will be the babysitter. There, are we happy? Okay. So let's do a review of certain words, and you'll be telling the teacher but when, like, if it's a TCH word or if it's a CH word. So let's do an example. So teacher, you have all those little cards, and you can show the student the two headings, CH and TCH, but you won't be revealing the cards until it's time. So let's say that your word is hunch. Okay, student, can you repeat that word? Okay, now let's tap it out. Ch. And I'm wondering, is that a situation where we're going to need a TCH or not? And the way you're going to figure it out is, was the vowel sound directly after, is a CH directly after the vowel sound, or is there a sound in between the two? In hunch, it was ch. So that sound is in between the vowel sound and the ch, so we don't need TCH. And then teacher, at that point, you'll put the card down on the table so the student can see. Okay, do some of those words for the sort and then come back to me. Let's move into the new content part of the lesson. Today we're going to learn about a new rule. It's called the doubling rule for F, L, S, and Z. Student, can you take out this paper? It's a rule sheet for the doubling rule. It's got a little picture there. Okay, and let's talk about what the rule says. It says that if we have a one-syllable base, and the base ends in either F, L, S, or Z, so in this case it's ending in S, then we're going to double the S. This is a closed syllable rule. So we're talking about words that are already closed in by a consonant where the vowel is saying a short sound and there's only one vowel. So let's change that. Well, let's just tap it and say it. So that word is pass, like, hey, can you pass me the soccer ball? So if I was going to apply that rule again, let's take a word like this. Can you tap this one and say it? Pat. So we would say, is this a one-syllable base? Yeah, that's a one-syllable base. It's a word. And does it end in F, L, S, or Z? Well, no, it doesn't. That one ends in a T. So that word is spelled correctly. We don't have to change that word at all. See how that works? So now let's do another example. I'll just get a couple of letters here. Okay, I'm wondering, is this one spelled correctly? So let's apply the rule. We've got a one-syllable base. Does the last letter end in S, L, F, or Z? Yes, it does. It ends in an S. So that means, because there's a short vowel sound right before it, we know that it must be a closed syllable. We must have to add the extra S. Now, an easy way to remember this is we have a keyword sentence and a picture. So we've got Jeff will pass Buzz. The boy is Jeff and the dog is Buzz. And Jeff is running really fast because he wants to get in front of his dog Buzz. Will he pass him? He thinks he will. Jeff will pass Buzz. And you can see that that'll remind you that we double the F, we double the L, we double the S, and we double the Z when we have a closed syllable with a S, L, F, or Z at the end. Okay, teacher, let's review this in the same way that we reviewed the TCH and CH rule. So we're going to have a quick sort. The way we do this drill will depend on your student. For some students, it would be best just to have the student tap it and say it, and then move the word to the correct pile. So everything's visual, they can see what they're doing. For other students who need a bit more of a challenge, the teacher could have the cards and not show them to the student, and the student would listen and tell you what is the last sound in that word. So if the word was class, they would say the last sound is S. So that S, that's an S, it must be going to get doubled. And then you could reveal it and put it in the correct pile. So I'll let you choose how you do that one. Let's do the magnetic letter tile drill. And student, remembering that we are working on this doubling rule of F, L, S, and Z. Do you have your tiles ready? Okay, your first sound is P. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Your next sound is Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. The last sound is F. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Tap it and say it. What's your word? Did you get puff? Okay, and now look at that word. Does it end in F, L, S, or Z? It does, doesn't it? It ends in F. So did you double the F? I hope you did. Okay, put those tiles away and let's try again. Next word, your first sound is W. Can you repeat that sound? W. Okay, find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. The next sound is Eh. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. The last sound is O. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile or tiles and pull them to the middle. Tap it and say it, and think about any spelling rules that have to get applied. Did you get well? Like, how are you feeling? Are you well? And did you double the L on well? W-E-L-L. If you did, that's right. Okay, teacher, if there's time permitting, you could do a third or fourth word in this way. And if not, then move on to your short word, the individual word list, and then you can have the student read the story. At this point, this is where you would add the fluency piece if your student's ready for that. And this is where you would use a program such as Read Naturally or the 6-minute reading solution, and you would do a timed reading right now. And if the student's not ready, that is okay, and you can just move right on. So let's move into the writing section. Student, we're going to start by doing the magnetic letter tile drill for spelling. So can you grab your board with your letters on it? Okay. Your word is hill. Can you repeat that word? Maybe I say I would climb up the hill. Okay. What's the first sound that you hear in hill? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What's the second sound that you hear in hill? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in hill? Find the correct tile or tiles and pull them to the middle. Now apply any spelling rules that need to get applied, and tap it and say it. How'd you do? Did you get hill and spell it H-I-L-L? If you did, that's correct. Okay, put those ones away and let's try a new word. Here's your word, buzz. Can you repeat that word? I might say, a bee can buzz. All right, what's the first sound that you hear in buzz? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What's the next sound that you hear in buzz? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in buzz? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Okay, apply any spelling rules that need to get applied, and tap it and say it. Did you spell it B-U-Z-Z? If you did, that's correct. Good job. Teacher, if there's time, you could do another word in this way, and if not, let's move on to tapping. So student, you can tap it or trace it, and as you tap it, you'll say the sounds of the word that you hear. Then you'll grab the word, pull it across the sky, and say the whole word, and then you'll write it down. So you need to have your lined paper and your pencil for this one. Your word is patch. Can you repeat that word? I might say, I will patch the hole in my pants. Patch. Okay, I'd like you to tap it. Say the sounds, say the whole word and pull it across. And before you write it, I'd like you to think about the spelling rules that get applied for this one. And then write it down. Did you spell this one P-A-T-C-H? If you did, that's correct. Okay, let's try a new one. Gruff. I might say, oh, you have a gruff voice. A little rough voice. Gruff. Okay. You can tap this one, or you can trace this one and say the sounds, and then I want you to write it down. And remember to apply it at the spelling rules that need to get applied. Teacher, you can check the work, and then you can decide how many more words you want to do that way. And then let's move on to connected text for sentences. Student, there are 3 sentences from which you can choose. So your teacher will read them out loud, and you can choose which ones you want to write. And then after you write a sentence, I'd like you to use CHOPS to check your work. Let's do a quick review before you go. We've been talking about consonant digraphs, times where 2 consonants are walking and they make a brand new sound. What sound does this one make? Tell your teacher it can make 2 sounds. And how about this one? It makes 2 sounds. Tell your teacher the 2 sounds it can make. And how about this one? What sound does this one make? And this one can make 3 sounds. Can you tell your teacher the ones you remember for that one? Okay, good job. The other thing we've been working on is the CH rule and the TCH rule. So I'm going to ask you, is this word spelled correctly? Have a discussion with your teacher about that. This is actually spelled incorrectly. It needs to have a T there. We know that if we hear a short vowel sound followed directly by a ch, that we're going to add that T, that T. We're not going to hear it. It's just going to be added in there because I only hear k, a, ch. So I need to know that the T is in there. Okay, good. And then we learned about a new rule today. We learned about the Jeff will pass buzz rule. There are 4 letters, and if they're at the end of a closed syllable, they're going to get doubled. Do you remember what those 4 letters are? They are F, L, S, and Z. So is this word spelled correctly? Well, it's a 1-syllable base, that's a closed syllable, and it ends in S. So that must mean that I have to use the doubling rule. And there's a sentence that helps us to remember what letters are going to be getting doubled. Do you remember it? It's Jeff will pass buzz. Can you say that? Jeff will pass buzz. That helps us remember. Okay, great job today. That's the end of lesson 36. And this is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy.